Happy Monday, friends. This week, I wanted to give you a new kind of concept that's just been kind of building in my head. It popped in on a run, and then I recently picked up a basketball again for like the first time since high school, and it just had me thinking about it more and more. And then obviously everything can be a metaphor for life, so that's what I've built it into. And so I'm just going to share with you guys that today. And I think sometimes this podcast might seem like I'm just giving you a bunch of one-liners that maybe you think I use all of them in my day-to-day, and I do use a lot of them, but the reality is that it's more like the ones that really stick with me are systems in my life. They aren't just habits. And James Clear talks a lot about making systems out of your habits in the book Atomic Habits. And so that's sort of how I build all these ideas off of. And sometimes they're just mindset shifts. And the thing I don't want you to think is that once you adopt one of these mindset shifts, once you adopt some of my other episodes, like the Young Blood, Old Souls, Passion Palace, the Better Eating episode, the Incline Your Mindset episode, all of these episodes are just sort of things that I've had light bulb moments about, I guess. But that doesn't mean that I'm eternally doing every one of these things for the rest of my life. Would I love to? Yes. But seasons change. We change. Ecclesiastes always says there's a time to do this and there's a time to do that. There's a time to harvest and there's a time to plant. And I think throughout life, throughout a month, throughout a day, there's a time to apply a concept and then there's a time to apply something else. And the goal is just to always be growing. And I think as long as your overall projection of life is up, which is what a lot of these concepts that I preach will hopefully elicit in your life, then you're good. Be better than yesterday. It doesn't have to be 1% better. It could be 0.001% better. But as long as you're striving to be better, to grow for those around you, I think that all of these concepts can be applied and then ignored or let go and re-adopted later in life. So don't ever think that everything I'm preaching needs to be, don't think that I'm applying all of these concepts every day, every hour of my life, because some days I screw up and I just don't want to do it either. So, but all that to say that this idea that's been living on in my head is the idea of triple threat, which if you played basketball, triple threat is the position you are in, or you should be in, on offense, because it gives you three options: to shoot, pass, or dribble. Why is this important? Well, when you're on offense, your goal is to put the ball in the hoop. And so staying low, you have a lower center of gravity. It's sort of, you can look up a picture of triple threat, so you probably know what it looks like. It's just an athletic stance, but it's an athletic stance with the goal of getting to the hoop in some way or shape. And so you can either shoot, score, you can pass or assist somebody else, or you can move, meaning dribble. And so as I started to kind of just play basketball by myself in the rec center, I realized how good I felt and how athletic I felt in that triple threat stance. And given I was playing basketball with no opponent, and this started to make me think more and more about I was never an offensive player when I played basketball. I did love basketball. It was actually the first sport I wanted to play in college up until about my sophomore year of high school, when basketball sort of didn't become my thing anymore. I actually wanted to be a college basketball player before a college softball player, and certainly before a college runner. And so that was sort of my goal. So I spent a lot of time shooting hoops in the gym, which is hilarious because then I would get in a game and I never shot, you guys. And even since I was a little kid, I was always seen as more of a defensive player. My thing was stealing the ball. Literally just I felt like I was seeing it, because basketball is all angles. So when you're a person who can literally see robot-wise angles, that's what I saw. And so when other people were looking to pass the ball, I could see the exact, it's like I saw a dotted line of where the ball was going, and I could anticipate that and go take it. And so I was always more of a defensive player. And as I started to say those words out loud in my head on my runs, I realized that in life, I've always been a defensive player. And I'm going to dive into more about what that means, but it's not a bad thing. But just as I said, there's a time to apply some of these positive mindset, self-help concepts, and there's a time to relax and chill and just let yourself be. There's a time to play defense in life, and there's a time to play offense. And I think all of us are doing too much of one or the other. If you're like me, which is largely where this episode's going to go, I'm going to talk about choosing to play offense more, because I am somebody who lives on defense. But maybe you're a person who plays too much offense, and we'll cover what that looks like. And so sort of do an eval of yourself right now and determine, am I somebody who is spending too much time on offense, aka a ball hog, or am I somebody who's spending too much time on defense and only reacting to other people's moves and never getting any points, literally never scoring? So let's dive into triple threat a little bit more. Triple threat is beautiful because you're never caught off guard, but you're also unsure of your next move, which means that your defense, the person defending you, also never knows what your next move is. Hence the triple threat. You could do 3 different things, and within those 3 different things, there's many different motives of the way of still getting the ball in the hoop. So that's why triple threat is so good. So what does this look like sort of applying to life? Because odds are most of us are not still playing basketball. So shooting, that first aspect of triple threat, this is sort of the action and courage when you are open in life. So what does this look like? Well, when you are open in life, that means you have like a free day off from work, maybe a holiday, or even just some vacation time. Maybe you have a week at home. What are you doing in those times when you are wide open to act? That is what this is. Shooting is perhaps the first thing you think in triple threat. You catch the pass and you look to the hoop, because if you can shoot, that's a piece of cake. Just pop it. And so this is what you do when life is just cruising. So when you have that free day, maybe you go get a longer workout in, or maybe you go for a walk with your family. When you have that week at home, capitalize on that time and cook for your family. Try some new recipes. Be healthy and meal prep for the rest of the week so that you're set up for success. What if you have some free time at the end of the day? What are you doing with that time? The equivalent of taking the shot in your life when you're wide open is reading something and growing in a hobby that you want to do, or even just reading a self-help book or a religious book, or reading your Bible and just kind of growing mentally when you have that free time. Shooting is not scrolling on your phone. It's using your time when you're open more wisely. The second aspect of triple threat is passing. So what does passing look like out in the real world? So passing is the assist. This is communication and supporting or being supported. Because the reality is, when you're in triple threat, that doesn't mean you have a clean line to the hoop. There most likely is an obstacle in front of you, or in basketball, there's literally an opponent in front of you. So sometimes you're not the best person for the job. You're not the best person to take the shot, and that's where passing comes in. It's supporting others, assisting others, letting others have a time to shine, and also being supported when you're stuck. So let's say you've taken 2 dribbles, and that 6'2" girl has her hand in your face, and there is no way you are getting the ball in the hoop. So pass the ball. That's the kind of the mindset here behind passing. So what does this look like applied to our health and fitness? This means getting a coach with a meal plan. So if you're a person who struggles with going to the gym and not knowing what to do, find a friend who can help you, or find a coach that will be there with you and walk you through the process of getting healthier. Same thing with meals. If you're a person who really sucks at going out to eat, hire or literally just ask your friend to hold you accountable. Because odds are you're usually taking somebody with you. So if you say, hey, let's go to McDonald's, that friend goes, actually, you said you didn't want to do that anymore. Having that accountability partner is them assisting you, you assisting them, and then you both score. Working out with a person who knows what they're doing, delegating or training others to do tasks that you don't need to be doing, but that they could learn from. So this is more of a career application of all of us hopefully get to the point in our jobs where we are no longer the interns, we are no longer the people at the bottom of the totem pole. And then it is required that we then start delegating and giving stuff away so that others can grow, or being the one to help walk them through growing. Some of the most impactful people in my life and in my job and in my sports have been the people who have walked with me as I did things slower and worse than they would, but just took time to pour into me, to correct me, and to help me become them eventually. Those are the beautiful people in our lives, that kind of young blood, old souls. Those people who know that they could do something faster and better, whether it be in work or I think of even kids. I see so many parents out like riding bikes with their kids or walking or trying to run with their kids. And I look at them and I go, that looks incredibly frustrating. Like if I went out for a run right now and I had to stop every 500 meters because my kids' legs are tired, I would just stop. But so many of these parents are just patient with their kids, and they know that going on that 12-mile run is less important than getting their kid outside for a mile and a half, or that they are pouring more into their kid by stopping at the road, letting their kid catch up, maybe stopping to make sure their kid doesn't fall off their bike. Like, they know that if they were doing it alone, they could probably go faster, but that in the long scheme of things, that isn't how you win games. Same thing. If you're a ball hog and you're only playing to shoot the ball, only playing to score, it's not gonna go well. Nobody likes a ball hog. They like somebody who's good, but also can still pass the ball and share the ball and distribute the points over the whole team. So that's what passing looks like in life. Allowing you to both be supported, confessing or confiding in others when your life just sucks and you need somebody to pour into you, or passing the ball off and delegating tasks or things that you don't need to do because somebody else can grow from them. That's how we can tap into that second part of the triple threat. The third part is dribbling. This is attacking from a new angle, maybe taking some steps backwards before trying something new. So the third aspect, this one is definitely the most skillful, I think, because you have to sort of react in a way to the defender. Attacking from a new angle. Dribbling is not giving up the ball. It's just saying where I'm at right now doesn't work. So what does this look like in life? When it rains or it's stormy and you can't get your normal outdoor workout in, what's your backup plan? Do you have dumbbells in your house that you can do some curls, you can do a circuit with? Do you have a gym where you can go run on the treadmill? Do you have a gym where it's close enough to you that no matter what, and it's open during other hours, you will get a workout in at least 2 or 3 times a week? When you have to eat out, how do you attack that from a different angle? Instead of just treating every meal out as if like it's a binging treat, like it's like a holiday, the goal is to not treat holiday meals, not treat eating out as something that's so niche that you have to go all out for it. Instead, when you have to eat out, do some research on the menu and find something that's high protein. Find something that has fewer processed ingredients and maybe is cooked in a healthier oil, like olive oil. Then don't get like dessert and save that for a protein Ninja Creamy, which I will argue is better than any dessert at any restaurant. But when a negative person at work, when that negative person is the equivalent of a defender standing in front of you that you cannot get around, their negativity is just blocking the 3-point shot of your positivity or your comments that are meant to uplift them. Go pick up a rebound and take 2 from them instead. Meaning, don't just let a negative person bring you down. Don't drop to their level. Raise the expectation and just be different. It may be awkward. Who cares? One of the greatest things in life that I've experienced most recently is just, it's almost like a supreme confidence, but really just an ignorance to what other people think, which means I am just going to be myself, and if you don't like me, that's okay. I'll move on. I have some people who really like me, and that's really all I need. And so dribbling, the last aspect of that triple threat, is just being prepared to kind of just shock somebody else's system and just move. Like, it's going to take more effort to dribble around them. It might take some fancy through the legs, behind the back moves, but find a way. Find a way to accomplish your goals regardless of what that opponent in front of you is doing or being. So what I'm arguing today is that I want to be in triple threat more, and I hope that you want to be in triple threat more, which means that we're shifting the mindset from playing defense all the time to playing some more offense. Again, we're going to cover how to sort of find a balance of both, but the reality is that I've always been a good defender. I'll always be there. I'll be reliable. I'll always be back on defense, but I'm never scoring that way. And I want to score some points. So we're going to switch some mindset into offense here. So let's compare offense versus defense. Offense is proactive and assertive. Defense is reactive and reliant. So again, defense is reliable. You can always be the person who is reacting to others, but you're not going to score that way. You're only going to score, you're only going to innovate, you're only going to grow if you are the person making that first move. Being proactive. Defense is low risk and you can blame others or spread the blame out among more people. Offense is higher risk and usually there's no one to blame. If you're the one who takes the shot and you miss, that's on you. If you're the one who dribbles and you lose the ball, that's on you. Whereas in defense, let's say you get set on a pick and roll, that's not you. Your defender was supposed to swap. And so with defense versus offense, it seems like defense is easier to kind of spread the blame out and make excuses a little bit more. Defense serves just you. This might be one that you could kind of swap back and forth and say that I'm wrong. But ultimately, and I'm going off of how I played defense, a lot of the time, defense is to get out, like I think of softball, or defense is to get the ball back to go on offense for other sports. But reality is that most of us are only playing defense because we want to protect ourselves. And so where most people would argue that offense can be selfish, I would say that defense is actually selfish because you're only protecting yourself. I mean, if your teammate gets a shot on them and they lose 3 points for the team, that's your teammate's defense. If somebody dribbles past me, that's on me. So that's where I'm going to say that defense is actually more selfish than offense because when offense is played correctly, you aren't a ball hog. But even if you are a ball hog, nobody hates a ball hog who's scoring. We only hate the ball hog that starts missing or that starts losing the ball. So ultimately, offense always has the option to assist others, as we already talked about, to pass the ball off. And so I'm going to say that defense is more selfish, especially when applied to life, because it only serves you. It doesn't serve others around you. It doesn't give you the opportunity to assist others as much as offense. Defense is more of fear and more of being pushed around by others. I think of when you do that drill where you're just shuffling back and forth while your teammate dribbles against you, there's very little power in there. Like, yes, you can steal the ball on defense, but with offense, there's no fear, really, unless you play offense like I did, but we're fixing that. Offense is mostly about acting, about being courageous and taking action when others are responding to you, or maybe trying to anticipate what you're doing, and that's where you have the advantage of making the next move and catching others on their heels. Instead of being the defender sitting on their heels, you are the offender that's in triple threat and ready to go in any direction. Whereas offense has the advantage of making that next move, there is the advantage of stealing on defense. But like I said, I was really good at stealing, and as I started to reflect on that a little bit, playing defense and being really good at defense and trying to be a good stealer, you're hoping for other people to fail. You are literally sitting there when I say I'm seeing that angle of their pass. I am anticipating other people's failures, which in sports is great because then you can capitalize on that and score. But in life, I don't want to be sitting around playing defense trying to anticipate other people's failures. I think I used to be that way. I think I used to hope that others screwed up so that I could capitalize off of that. I don't want that anymore. We have an infinite God, and an infinite God means there is infinite good in this world, which means that there is enough good to serve all of us. And so I don't need to sit back on my heels and hope that somebody else screws up so that I can win. Instead, I can go on offense and I can assist others, and then we can all win together. So that's sort of the shift there, is that yes, you have the advantage of observing others and trying to steal, but I'm tired of hoping and anticipating that others fail so that I can win. And so we're switching to offense. So after covering all of those kind of pros, cons, and direct comparisons of offense versus defense, I do want to say that you do need a balance of both. The famous quote or whatever it is, it's like offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. I think that's true, which is why there is a time to play offense and there's a time to play defense. For me, I have been playing too much defense, always. Even when I was playing sports, I played too much defense. I eventually got to play varsity basketball, but I was a person who could shoot, and I was too scared of shooting. So I stood in the corner, and most of the time, I just passed, which was okay because I had a lot of assists. I let everybody around me kind of do the scoring, but there's a part of me that wonders, would I have been more beneficial if I was more proactive and more assertive? Because I did spend a lot of time in the gym getting a good shot, and then I just never used it. So there's some regret there in basketball. I think of in softball, I always played defense, even when I was hitting. And that's not a good mindset to have in the batter's box. So when I was a great defender in softball, because I was good at reading the angles the same way I did in basketball, I was an outfielder or I played some infield, and I was good at just, one, getting to the ball in the most efficient angle, hitting a drop step, and running to the ball at a very quick one lane angle. Or even when I was pitching, I was good at throwing a strike. It was never hard, but I was good at throwing a strike because it's all angles. It's all consistency. If you can release the ball in the same spot every time, odds are you're going to throw it to generally the same spot every time. But then when I got into the batter's box, I was still playing defense because to me, that pitcher was on offense because she could throw a pitch anywhere, and I was terrified of missing it, so I just swung in an effort of just maybe making a little bit of contact, which resulted in most of the time a little dribbler to the shortstop. So if you want to be good at softball or baseball, you got to be good at creating the offensive mindset even when you're still having to react to the defense. And then I think of running. I was trying to decide if running is all offense or all defense, and I would say it's all offense, but actually I think it's all defense. You just don't have an opponent. You have the weather, or you have your body, or you have your mind, and so the opponent is kind of within, but I still would argue that running is kind of all defense, and most people would agree with me because they hate running. And so I've played a lot of defense. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm ready to start switching that and be a two-way player, which means at this point in time, since I'm so good at defense, I gotta play a whole lot of offense. And so my mindset is focused on the offense. If you're a person who plays a whole lot of offense, then do the flip and play a little bit of defense every day. Being a two-way player allows you to play both sides of the ball, which means you're always in the game. And that's what we want to do. You do need a balance of both to win long term, but there is a need to focus on the one that you're weakest at right now. The mindset shift doesn't mean that you don't have an opponent either. So going from defense to offense doesn't mean that everybody just gets out of my way and I get to score and go do whatever I want every day. There is still going to be a defense. You're still going to have a team that you should be playing with. And so offense does not mean, hey, now we're just going to be a ball hog and do whatever the heck we want. You still have to exist and provide a challenge to grow against that defender as well as a team player. The perspective from defensive fear to offensive control means that you get to make the first move, and the first move should be forward, not back. In some research doing this, because again, nothing new under the sun, so when I think I have this amazing idea on my Monday morning run, somebody else has already thought of it. So I want to read you a couple just little articles, and I'll link the original authors in the link below. So this is a triathlon coach, and he did this whole thing of playing offense versus defense on life. And I want to kind of just maybe read the whole thing because it's just short little Substack article, and I just think it's so good about what I'm trying to communicate, and his words might resonate with you more than mine did. So he says, and this is Ryan Dreyer, however you say that, there's one approach that makes endurance feel overwhelming and impossible, playing defense on life. Here's what that looks like. In the fall of 2022, I had an athlete start training for his first 70.3, which is an Ironman, or a half Ironman. Training kicked off and he was nailing everything from day one. He hit all his workouts for the first 2 weeks. Perfect compliance and consistent communication with me. We were riding the high of his initial excitement. But then everything started slipping. Instead of fully green training plan, he started to skip workouts, fail workouts, or just not do anything altogether. As his coach, this is a clear sign that an athlete is struggling to manage training with life. I asked him what was going on, and one thing was clear. He was being pulled in a million directions. He felt like he was underwater, so I pried for details on his day-to-day. He had a new project at work. He had functions with the family on the weekend that made his long ride impossible. He went to a soccer game with friends the day after that. He was squeezing in a run here and there, a ride there, maybe getting a swim in, but his life felt like chaos. Every single one of these things needed his attention, and it was reasonable. Work ramps up, that's okay. Family events are a good thing, and time with friends are a good thing too. But take these commitments out of isolation. Look at them as a whole and consider underlying mindset rooting hold. He was saying yes to everything without realizing it, and time for himself was coming last. Then he was expecting life to make space for his goal to do a 70.3. It doesn't work like that. When you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to something else. And in this athlete's case, saying yes to work, family, and friends meant saying no to his goals to build confidence and consistency in the pursuit of his first 70.3. So how do we flip that and play offense with life? The first key to success is making endurance work like playing offense, not defense. Defense is reactive, offense is assertive. Playing offense is all about taking control of the time of your day that's 100% yours, which means planning ahead, preparing the night before, deciding on a specific window each day to do the training. You must match the goals you say you have with the space you give them in your life. I love that. Let me read that again. You must match the goals you say you have with the space you give them in your life. Pass protection and run blocking. I had another athlete run into the same problem this week. He used to play offensive line, so we broke down the analogy even further. Get out of pass protection and run the dang ball. Pass protection starts with a step back. You are waiting to brace the defender and keep him away from your quarterback. Then you're looking for a Hail Mary. The 3-hour ride out of nowhere. The open water swim success without any reps. The fueling plan that works perfectly even though you never tried it in training. We shifted his mindset from pass protection to run blocking. Run blocking starts with the step forward. You assert your force on the defender and make space for your running back to gate around. This is the exact strategy you can apply to life and your daily schedule. So he's using an endurance example there, which is perfect for this podcast because I am an endurance runner, and I think endurance sports are what most adults turn to. We're not playing basketball and football anymore, but we turn to endurance things. And so the reality is that in endurance, which as the Bible frequently uses, endurance is a metaphor for life. Life needs some offense. Not only offense, but then a specific form of offense that is productive. He talked about the run blocking versus the pass blocking. Pass blocking means you take a step back, whereas run blocking means you go get it. You go block for the defender so that the run game, the scoring can happen. So I read that to you to just say that this is not just me preaching it. It's people coaching other athletes, people coaching through life and saying that offense is the way to go, to plan ahead on your life, to take the opportunity to score when you're wide open, to pass to other people when possible and when it's easier for you to grow from sharing the love of the offensive game, or to dribble around and find a new approach. All of that is impossible if you stay playing defense and you only react to others. This other article, I'll read again to you, just some more words that I think try to hammer in this idea of offense versus defense. Again, another football example. So it was good. I talked to you mostly about basketball. These guys are talking about football. In football, defense is initially easier to learn than offense. At the beginning of the NFL season, scoring tends to be lower than later in the season. That's because it takes time for an offense to hone in its skills and coordinate its actions, while a defense can more readily show up and be turned loose to respond to whatever the offense is trying to do. As the season goes on, scoring increases as the offense begins to improve the coordination of their plays, while the defense shows relatively less improvement. This made me feel really encouraged because if I'm telling you that I've played defense most of my life and I split up my life, we kind of have a 4-quarter life, I'm still in that first quarter. And when you're playing sports, that first quarter is all about getting a feel for what the other team's got. So as I read this, I appreciated that I have kind of played defense for the first quarter of my life. But second quarter, we can swap. We can play some offense. And so that's just a little side note from what he's saying here. At work, as in football, playing defense is a primarily reactive affair. We typically respond to what is happening in front of us. It's easier to play defense because we don't have to think as hard or make as many decisions as we do on offense. When it comes to day-to-day jobs in the office, defense involves responding to email and requests for meetings from others and waiting for something urgent to grab our attention. Many of us, perhaps most of us, work in a defensive posture. We arrive at work and go straight to our desks where we open our laptops, check our email, and respond to whatever the world has thrown at us for that day. Playing offense is different. It is primarily intentionally proactive in life. It's more difficult than defense because it requires us to discern for ourselves what our priorities should be and stick with our plans in the face of distractions and temptations. Another side note is I argued that playing offense does not mean you remove the defender. That's what he's saying here. He's saying offense is harder because it then requires you to discern for ourselves what priorities should be and stick to our plans regardless of the defense in front of you, regardless of the distractions and temptations that keep showing up. Life is not going to be easy if you're playing offense. Those same barriers that have made you fearful and pushed you into defense are still going to exist. The mindset shift is that now I am going around them. I'm going through them. I'm going to make them respond to me. I'm going to make that temptation to eat bad food respond to me. I'm going to make that little voice that says you don't need to work out today respond to me and make the next move and overpower it, dribble around it, do some crazy spin move to get to the hoop, whatever the metaphor is. An offensive posture at work involves beginning the day by reviewing our projects and setting goals for that day before we look at any email or text messages to expose ourselves to any potential distractions. It also involves allowing urgent but relatively unimportant tasks to go by the wayside so that more critical initiatives receive the time and attention they require. In football, defense is exhausting. Announcers frequently can be heard saying the defense is tired because they've been on the field too long. They never say the same thing about offense. Why? Because playing offense is energizing. We are motivated when we see our plans put into action. The same is true at work. When we play offense, we find ourselves energized at the end of the workday with a sense of accomplishment around what we've achieved and renewed excitement for the next day. We often leave work when we're playing defense exhausted because we spent most of our day responding to noise and distraction, wondering if we made any real progress and wary of the next day that will get thrown at us. One way to shift from defense to offense, this is where you tune in. If you tuned out, tune back in. One way to shift from defense to offense is to make our goals and projects extremely visible to ourselves and everyone around us. We are reminded by our priorities if we demand them to have our attention. Another way to force ourselves to close our laptops and turn off our phones as much as possible, or at the very least, to disable the notifications and alerts so that we can focus on what really matters, not a video of a giraffe having a baby, or the news, or your family sending you weird group messages, whatever it be. Continually checking email and text messages is a killer for an offensive mindset at the workplace. Finally, and this one might sound strange, but we should probably spend more time working and socializing with people. This is where the assist part comes in. So he's talked a lot about scoring or dribbling around the defense by shutting off your notifications, by planning and setting goals each and every day, by writing out a to-do list and then actually doing it. Now he's going to talk about that assisting, where he's saying work with people, socialize with people who share your goals and projects, because they will naturally encourage you to stay on task. Spending too much social time with people who have different priorities will derail your offensive mindset, as most of their commitments and interruptions will draw you away from areas of focus rather than towards them, which is not to say that offense is antisocial or isolated, but rather that it is intentionally social and purposely interactive. I loved those words because he really hammered down on the idea that offense is supposed to be a team thing. You're supposed to be scoring, you're supposed to be shooting, focused on the goal. Triple threat means you're always facing the hoop, ready to move, but there's always that second option to pass, to assist. That's where the social aspect of offense is attractive to me. So, I've given you a whole lot of words, read you some two really great articles that, again, I will encourage you to go give those creators some love because they said it better than I did. Now I'm going to give you some easy life application ways to make this defense to offense shift, or if you got to go the other way, offense to defense shift, more digestible. So, pertaining to diet, defense is eating what others offer you. Maybe people have crap in their cupboards and they say, you can eat whatever you want when you come to my house. Don't. Just choose not to. Eating when others eat. Again, I will die on this hill, but you do not have to eat at 8 a.m., 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. Eat when your body tells you to eat, not when the clock does. And then just eating without any goals. That's what defense looks like. Defense is reactive. It means eating what's in front of you, whereas offense is meal prepping. It's saying, I want to eat this amount of carbs, protein, fat in a day. I want to eat only whole foods and not anything out of a package. Offense is cooking and planning and saying no to people when they offer you food that you know doesn't meet your goals. Pertaining to fitness, defense is waiting for someone to give you directions, waiting for someone else to say, let's go for a walk, or give you a workout to do, or only working out when you eat bad, or when you're going on vacation or have a wedding coming up. That's what defense is. It's reacting to the environment around you rather than playing offense with your fitness, which is saying, my favorite influencer and company is Nick Bare, and he says, if it matters to you, you will make time for it. And that guy said it in the article where he said, you are planning your workouts. They aren't just something that happens if you have time. They have a set hour and a set time period in the day. It can also benefit people who go to the gym for way too long, because I now have to set a time limit on being at the gym, which is still offense and still productive. Offense means setting dumbbells on your floor so that every hour a timer goes off on your phone and you pick those up and you do 20 curls, and then you have a pull-up bar above your door and you do 2 pull-ups, and then you do 12 push-ups. Whatever the circuit is, I genuinely do that at my in my daily life. That timer tells me it's time to get a little bit of movement in. Again, those exercise snacks, that's what offense is. Or one of my favorites is just habit stacking a walk onto every meal. And so being offensive with your fitness is saying, every time I get done with a meal, I'm going to go on a 10-minute walk. This gets your body flowing. It makes your muscles start moving, which sucks up that glucose and puts it to good use. That's what playing offense with your fitness is. On the faith side of things, defense is waiting until someone else asks you about Jesus or your beliefs or church. I was reading a John Piper book a little bit ago, and he said that it's sad when we sit here and we go, I wonder why nobody asked me about Jesus. And he responds to that person and says, the reason that nobody asks you what you're hoping for is because it looks like you are hoping in the same things that they are. But when you're Christian and you hope in Jesus Christ, that should look different. So playing defense is waiting for somebody else to ask you about your beliefs. Playing offense is living a life that makes them go, there's something weird about you. You don't look like you're hoping in money. You don't look like you're hoping in your next meal. You don't look like you're hoping in your appearance or your car or your house or your family. You look like you're hoping in something different. And that's playing offense because it communicates Jesus without waiting for somebody to ask about him. It means playing offense in your faith means praying for the meal, even when it's awkward. When you go into a Panera on a random Tuesday and just choosing to pray for your meal so that the people around you see that there is a God and he is too good to ignore. It is saying, I'll pick you up on Sunday for church without even them mentioning it. Or throwing Jesus into every sentence because it's very, very possible and it will make you feel better and that will share the gospel with those around you. So that's offense for your faith. And then just in generic life well-being, defense is not having any goals. It's not having a plan for the day. It's always playing catch-up or restarting. Sort of saying that New Year's resolution where you set a goal and then you forget about it and you pick a new one the month later. We did that episode on the quarterly review, and that's essentially what you should do weekly or every day, and just set goals that you're going to actually check in with and actually achieve over a time period. Offense with your life is scoring when you're open, passing when you need help or aren't the best person for the job, and dribbling around obstacles when they are unavoidable. And then just for a little bit of humor, closing line, I did tell you that offense sells tickets, defense wins championships, and my pushback to that is growing up, whenever somebody would make the comment of like, do you know how that team won? Or can you believe that team won this way? And my little brother would always respond, they just scored more points than the other team. And I think that's the reality. When you get to the end of the day and you ask, well, how did that person win and I lost? They scored more points. And you don't score points on defense. You can be reliable, you can be protective, but you don't score points. And as obvious as that sounds, most of us don't play enough offense to win games, to win life, to win goals, to make successful careers, to have good relationships. We just don't play offense enough. So defense might win championships in the long term of this season of life, but without offense, the scoreboard might as well be off. So play some offense this week. Starve the lies, build your body, fortify your mind, stay in triple threat, ready to score, pass, or dribble. Stay hungry, and guys, always stay unsatisfied. See you next week.